Good morning to everyone. It's pleasure to join this thoughtful group of educators and reformers, and I'm truly honored to be here on the School Reformer platform. Introducing myself, I'm Sireesha Prasad, an educator, academic consultant, above all, a passionate learner with over a decade of experience in teaching and school leadership. I have had the privilege of working closely with teachers, students, and school leaders across different educational setups. What always fascinates me being as an educator is how learning happens when it's meaningful, joyful, and aligned with a child's natural curiosity. With this zeal of making learning curious, I am also founder of Mitram EduServe, an initiative born from deep desire to reimagine education with purpose and connection. Now, I would like you to invite into a conversation that every teacher, student, and parent experiences, often silently, but of course, rarely confronts. The overloading burden of curricula. Is it a necessity or deliberate burden? So, taking into the concept, we all know that we have been dealing with a lot of curricula, imposing a lot of curricula onto the students nowadays. So, is our curriculum a necessity, or just are we burdening our learners with a load that isn't theirs to carry? This is very important to understand and get acknowledged with, as we all know that education isn't just about how much we are teaching, but about what are we truly nurturing them to. So before going into the topic, let me begin the words with Swami Vivekananda and Plutarch. So here, Swami Vivekananda said that education is the manifestation of the perfection already in man. That means education is meant to uncover what already exists within a child and give him the necessary strength to develop in his own areas and to explore what he actually is, but not to bury them under the load of content. And here there is another saying by Plutarch, which we all know, that the mind is not a vessel to be filled, but a fire to be kindled. This in today's topic and today's era makes a lot of sense because we know in the name of curricula, we are filling the brains, but we are not enlightening them. So real learning comes about only when the competitive spirit has been seized. That means in today, our curriculum is often driven by the very purpose of competition rather than uncovering. We are uncovering less and we are in the race to cover more. We are not giving the child to explore himself, whereas we are not only burdening him, but also being the reason for the burnout of teachers and the pressure of parents. The sole reason is the piling up of curriculum with layers and layers without knowing whether it is necessary for the child or is it being a burden to him. So let us explore more into this. So in today's meeting, we'll be going through understanding what is curriculum and how is it being a overload. Is it necessary or being a burden? What is being its impact on the students, teachers, and learning process? What are we missing in piling up of this curriculum? And what can we do? So there are few examples and scenarios which we can learn and which we can speak upon to understand, is this curriculum being a necessity or being a burden over the students nowadays? Also, what can we do to correct it? And then we shall be having closing thought, and finally we can discuss about what are your insights and what are the impacts, what steps we can take Yes. Now, in schools nowadays, here we can see that the curriculum overload, burden in the name of learning. So, what are we doing? We can see that we can more often listen in the schools that the phrase syllabus completion is heard more often than the concept understanding. So, children begin their mornings not with curiosity, but with anxiety about how much they need to cover. Of course, not only kids, the same pressure can be seen in teachers also. They feel rushed and burnt out as they're missing out the very purpose of their role as an educator. Instead of enlightening the kids and kindling the curiosity in them, they became the mere even the parents feel helpless as they know they are pressuring the kids but are in a rush that the kid should be covering more and learning more and more. And finally, in this complete vicious cycle, students being the main victims, we can say. Well, they're just overwhelming, anxious, and lost in the way, lost in the true purpose of learning. Let's explore how we are arrived at this overload state and what are the consequences. Is it necessary to place this burden? And if so, what we can collectively do to ease the burden without compromising the richness of education. Firstly, before going into understanding whether it's a burning or a necessity, let us once have a look over what is curriculum. What is its historical perspective? Why is it introduced? And what is the intent of the curriculum? So, if we understand, we can clearly see that curriculum is created with the intention not to burden, but if we rewind the history, we find that earlier Indian education system, especially focused on holistic development. Learning was personalized, experiential, and deeply rooted in local realities. If we once rewind ourselves with the purpose of Indian education, we'll be finding the school systems as gurukulas of the past history, where children are not only given the basic skills or the basic education of whatever rote memory purpose, but they used to learn life skills. And that depending upon their interests. Children used to be nourished with what they are interested in and what is really actually necessary for leading their life with a meaningful and purposeful way, solving their local issues and making them self-sustained. But later on, we know with a more colonial education and globalization, colonial intervention, came the introduction of a standardized procedure, standardized curriculum designed more to create clerks. I say this because when every children, as we know, there is a saying that we cannot judge a fish with its capacity of climbing a tree. So each living being has its own purpose and has its own, what we say, has its own strengths. In the same way, each kid, I believe that they have their own strengths, which should be brought up, but not unnecessarily stammering them under and piling up extra burden, which he is not meant to do it. So here, this curriculum with the colonial intervention and with the thought of globalization designed more to create clerks and rule followers than thinkers and creators. We can clearly say this because kids today are restless, covering many subjects. They do not have clarity, or most of the students lack the experience and experiential expertise in a single subject. Instead, they run over all the subjects to gain marks, which is not their own true purpose, but is being burdened on them by the parents, educators, and the educational system that is existing today. So post-independence, in our enthusiasm to catch up globally, we added more subjects, more units, more important topics. Of course, they are necessary because as we are going into global trends, children should be acknowledged with what is happening in the world today and they should be get ready when they enter into the existing world with the existing curriculum and existing trends. But hardly removed anything. When we wanted to update ourselves for the existing trends, we also should remember that there is something that has gone out of the trend. When we add up with that which is in trend, we should also remove that which has been out of the trend. But we have been forgetting or we have been hardly removing anything, but we are just piling up over and adding more and more and more. If we are adding with global perspective, then there should be also a removal. But over the years, we have stacked layer upon layer without pausing to ask, is this still relevant for today's child? For example, many schools introduce abacus and Vedic math programs, intellectual development, logical thinking, and mathematical ability, mental ability of the child. But apart from this, maths class also goes on a regular base. If we observe closely, abacus, Vedic math, and the regular math syllabus are intended to make the child learn calculations perfect and faster. Then if the both are for the same purpose, why should we introduce one more subject, making the child desperate and making the teacher restless and burnt out? Why can't we introduce or why can't we merge this abacus or Vedic math program into a regular math class, where we can also take the child to the next level for easier and perfect calculations through abacus and Vedic math, which is really necessary for them. And here, because they both are the same subjects, we can also reduce the burden over them, making them think psychologically that we are learning more. We are giving more subjects. Instead of making them feel that we are taught more, we can make them feel that we are learning more, we are experiencing more. So there are many regular life situations. If we go on seeing that why curriculum is piling upon layers and layers, but we have not removed anything. So finally, curriculum became a tool for information transfer, where it has to be a tool of transformation. Now, let us once look over what is curriculum actually. So the actual meaning of curriculum is, the word curriculum comes from the Latin word curre, as you can see on the screen. It comes from the Latin word currere, which means to run a course. So what is the original purpose of running a course? The original meaning of the running a course is to guide a learner's journey. As the word itself says, it was meant to be a learner's journey. But today it feels like a race. We have turned learning into a speed test. How fast can you finish? Rather than making it a true guidance for the learner. Today's child knows more but understands less. If we look at a typical school day, students move from math to science, science to social, social to computer, computer class to GK, and then to robotics, then to abacus, then to competitive coaching. The list goes on. I don't know why, but the most funny part, maybe I can say, is IIT coaching being burdened upon the children from class 6. And now, in few schools, we can also observe it from class 1. Schools joyfully announce themselves as uh, mere institutions or great institutions which provide IIT coaching classes with perspective of IIT trainers from class 1. So when a child is used to learn fine motor skills like drawing and speaking and basic literacy skills, what is has to do with IIT? Is it not piling up the curriculum? Is it not burdening him with the more and more concept? And parents happily make the children enter into this dangerous cycle, not knowing what the consequences would be. So, in this race of trying to prepare students for everything, we should remember that we prepare them for nothing. Even today's child is not ready for minimum, a basic challenge that he comes across in his life. He is so stressed out and could not figure because he is not being given the life skills and he is not understanding the very purpose of learning. He is just only made to understand that he has to read whatever is given to him and then paste it in the examination paper to get the results. So if we see, what does this lead to? As we are seeing it, concepts are introduced but not explored. So child stay, he doesn't understand anything, but he just learns what he is going on. So for example, a class 7 student studying nutrition in science may never get to grow a plant or cook a healthy meal for himself, but still he will be memorizing the entire food pyramid and deficiency diseases by heart and could place successfully in the examination, getting out of out marks. So this is the real example that concepts are not being given to the students with the very purpose, but the means they are not being explored. They are just dumped into their brain. I'm sorry to say this. So if we move to the next slide, is it a necessity? Now, as we are speaking, the overloaded of curriculum, most of us may think that, yes, we are doing it. We should not pile up the curriculum. But let me say you something. Of course, it is necessity because holistic development requires diverse exposure. Uh, First of all, we have to understand that when we are talking about piling up of curriculum, it is not about the basic subjects we are talking. We are talking about the extra introductions, extra curriculum which we are providing to the development of the child. Yes, of course, if we speak, logical reasoning and competitive coaching classes are necessary for a kid to understand, to make him logical thinking better. And also drawing classes, abacus classes, robotics, everything is necessary to keep him ready for the global trends and to make him understand to outside world. Yes. And then we aim to prepare child for global competitions. Boards and systems demand coverage of large content. This is true because with the global emerging trends, child should be full and be known about what are the trends out and he should be provided with everything. But it is losing its true purpose as we have already spoken. Education is all about exploring, not just digging into the concepts. So because it lost its purpose. It has become a deliberate burden. Whereas we have to make the child know about the concepts and make learning joyful to him, we have made learning competent, competitive only, and we gave him a sense that learning is only for the purpose of examinations and for scoring, rather than for developing life skills and for earning, looking the life in a new style. So by this, we are increasing pressure on him. Not only pressure on the kid, even the pressure on teachers, policymakers, and institutions itself. Because once they are entering into this more content, more curriculum, they're often being lost without knowing to themselves that we need to cover more. We need to be first in the race. So the process of learning, which starts smoothly, ends like a rat race, desperately. Everyone desperate for them to come first in the race. So automatically making everything fast forward, which is making the true sense of curriculum to be lost. Syllabus is overloaded with repetition and redundancy. If you see, the same concepts are explained in, if you take textbooks, science or maths textbooks, mostly science textbooks from class 6 to 10th. So the topics are just repeating rather than they has to increase stepwise, making the learner go, increasing his capacity to learn, increasing his capacity to explore. The same concept is being repeated. So there is no chance for the learner to grow, but instead to pile up with the concepts. And we're increasing the quantity, whereas we have to focus on the quality in curriculum. So the way we teach, the way we give the curriculum to the child matters more than the quantity of the curriculum which we are giving to the child. So this is the main reason why the child is not being expertise in anything. Of course, he's scoring well in all the subjects, but he could not do well if we just practically look over him. There is no practical knowledge in any of the subject. Rather than in arts, there will be an arts class to the student, but a student cannot be well at, not all the students will be well at art. So he is having competitive classes, but he is not good at reasoning and analytical thinking. So this is what. So simply we are giving quantity, but not quality. So the focus should shift from quantity to quality. As we have already discussed, what is the impact on children because of this curriculum piling up? Stress, anxiety, burnt out. So the children are losing their own purpose of learning. I'm sorry to repeat this again and again, but this is what being the final result of piling up of the curriculum. They're losing the joy of learning. They are becoming more processors rather than thinkers. So because of this, as we are putting pressure over rote learning and memorization techniques, they're losing curiosity, confidence, and creativity, which actually a child is having inbuilt. So if we see kids of nursery, they are very excited. They often ask many questions. We all know this. Students are really like, they are just like a fire which is being dazzled. But we, putting the pile of curriculum, we are just pushing that fire out, just like spraying water over it. So they should be given a thought. So in this process, as we already said, curriculum implementation is necessary, but it is turning into a burden, losing its purpose. So what are we ignoring? Emotional well-being. As we already said, because of the stress. See, even adults cannot tolerate if their work hours are prolonged. If they're asked to work from home for 1 or 2 hours extra in the days when it is necessary. When adults who can actually feel the pressure and face the pressure and ready for the life cannot tolerate what they are going through, then how come a child who is very young with a very delicate brain go through all these procedures? We give him long study hours, we give him no rest, we give him no time to explore what he is actually thinking, and often we give him no time to speak out what he is thinking, what he wants. So automatically they are feeling emotional, they are being suppressed under this emotional stress. We can see many cases nowadays. That is the reason why we are having the increase in counselors, child counselors, and psychologists. There are no, we give them no space for play. We give them no space for exploring their hobbies. And we give them no space for real life application, where we pay more fee to the institutions just to make them learn all this. experiments, creativity, and everything. But when we give him no chance to explore any of them, what is the use of piling up of this curriculum over him? So when does real learning happens? So we should we clear all this curriculum? No, we should implement the curriculum with on quality basis. Learning is what which connects learners to their world. So this is the time to reflect and absorb what they are learning, what they wanted to from the outside world, but not just making them sit up with a pile of books giving to them and then asking them to go through the content, just cross over the pages or remember what they have seen in the textbooks. Rather than that, we should give them chance to explore what is happening in the real world and experiment what they wanted to learn. So we should give them space for themselves. We should be acting as guiders, but not as instructors. So yes, so as it is said, students should be the thinkers, not containers which hold the content. There should be a need for curriculum detox. As we can see, we should prioritize core competencies over content dumping. That means we should understand the child in which areas he wants to explore. Initially, he should be initially he should be given the information about what all he can explore, and then slowly now we should give him a chance to explore himself what is he interested in, and then we should help him build his core competencies, but not just dumping what all we have in our textbooks or what all we have in our curriculum. There should be specialized classes. If a child is interested in learning abacus, he should be trained to math and logical reasoning and mental ability. If a child is interested in arts, then he should be given space for learning music, dance, arts, creativity, or whatever he wants to. If a child is interested in science, then he should be given space for experimenting, activity based learning. If a child is interested in sports, then he should be given room for sports where he can make him strong and he should be trained. So, first, we need to put all the options before the kids in the name of curriculum, and then we should make them explore, and then we should make them understand what their abilities are. Also, we should understand what their abilities lie in and then train them according to their competencies and to their abilities and to their interests. So what can schools do?
Sireesha, sorry to interrupt you, Miss Sireesha. As I mentioned that because of the time constraint, if
Yes.
you can, wind up the PPT in a couple of minutes so that we have more room for the Q&A. Otherwise, like if you want to continue, we don't need to do the Q&A.
Sure. I can I have 3 to 4 minutes more? I'll be concluding.
Sure, thank you.
Yes. What can schools do in this purpose? Once audit their curriculum, go through the curriculum, then train their teachers, not having more and more teachers, but train their teachers, because teachers are also being burnt out in this procedure. We should train the teachers for interdisciplinary teaching. They should understand, and teachers should be more capable of understanding how they should teach rather than what they should teach. And redesigning the timetable according to the based upon the interest of the kids and interest of the teacher. So we should be also engaging parents. Teaching is not what is related to just schools and teachers, but it is more linked to parents. So we should engage parents also in understanding the what is the true purpose of learning and what are the core competencies of their child, so that even they can train the child in the particular way, not desperately putting pressure of everything onto him. So this is what schools can do. And now coming to educators, because they are the main pillars of the education system and they are the ones who train the students, who give the guidance. So they should speak up. First, educators should be strong enough to speak up. If something is not necessary or if something is necessary for the kids, they should be able to speak up and come out with saying what is necessary and what is not necessary, what is working and what is not working. And they should also give guidance to the students according to their interests. And of course, homework, teaching, examination process, assessments, everything are necessary. So this is in the hands of educators, how they guide the students, how they take the concepts into the kids. Yes, finally, the final thought. So I want to end this saying, a well-designed curriculum is like a garden path. It shows direction, but allows freedom to explore. But an overloaded curriculum is like a treadmill. It keeps you running, but you reach nowhere. So the curriculum is not just a list of chapters, it's a child's window to the world. We should understand this, and then we should design the curriculum and implement the curriculum which is necessary for the kids to explore more, but not to just remember more. Let's not fog that window with overload. Instead, let's wipe it clean, and so children can see, imagine, and explore and grow. Let's not make our children tired travelers, but make them joyful learners. So let us teach with empathy, plan with purpose. When we teach, ask why should we teach before what are we teaching? How should we teach? And what are we giving? What is the final purpose of this content which we are dumping or which we are giving to the child? Let us create classrooms where children breathe, think, and grow. Because education system is always what is designed for the child to grow, which are who are our future generations. So yes, thank you for giving me the opportunity. I'm open to the questions. Uh, I now look forward to hearing from your thoughts, insights, or questions if you have any.
Thank you, Miss Sireesha. Can you stop sharing the screen, please?
Yes.
Thank you. So the first question I would like to ask you is, it's a very unique topic you chose, and no one has spoken on our platform especially. So what inspired you to explore the topic of overloaded curricula in education?
Yes, Pravina, as I already told you, I'm an inspired teacher, a passionate teacher. So, dealt with many educators and education systems, like we have gone through many schools. Everywhere I see, especially in the initial days of my journey, where I started as an educator, we're always instructed to complete the syllabus so that the kids will be learning more and they will be having more space for revision. But actually, what space should be given to them is more space for thinking. So I thought in the initial days of my journey, I felt desperate. What is the true purpose of my journey? It's of beginning as a passionate teacher, and what am I doing? Am I being just like a mere instructor than giving them more information, just giving them more information, but not, I'm not doing anything which kindles their curiosity over science, especially science being my subject, physics. So I thought this should be changed. What is the reason behind this rat race? Is that they just wanted to give more competitive coaching for class 6 students. Also, they asked me to give IIT coaching and all this. I felt it is not necessary for them, where they should be understanding more basic concepts of science and explore what actually creates curiosity in them. So, with the true purpose, as I have already spoken in the beginning, we have also started a Ajusa Mitram, so that we can help more schools to, of course, they can give more curriculum, but with the true purpose of quality and making the kids explore more, but not just having more. So this is what inspired my journey, beginning as an educator, being burdened myself as more curriculum inspired me to choose this topic. Why can't this be known by everyone? When I felt the same, there will be more people, more educators outside feeling the same. I thought I could be a voice for all of them.
Absolutely. So, Ms. Sireesha, how can educators balance covering essential material with avoiding overload? Like you have
Yeah.
to teach like according to the, CBSE or ICSE or anything, when the board sets some, right? You have to teach. So how can educators balance this, covering the essential material?
So our textbooks, which are basically given to us, are completely full with a detailed planning of what educators have to take to the students.
Mhm.
So generally what happens is in the race of attaining marks, so teachers just teach in classes or with blackboards writing something and asking the students to copy the same and all. So in this, they do not get more space. They only get space for, because they are utilizing all the class time for just dumping the content into the brains of the child. They do not get more space because extra classes can never be provided for exploring more. We have to utilize the same time. So teachers, I suggest in my experience, uh, not just teaching the content, but instead do the same with practical learning. Whereas child will be learning better and also the concepts also will be covered better. And with this practical type of learning, nowadays, of course, we have more visual aids for making the child have real life experience. So instead of teaching with a more boring class atmosphere, take them into a new perspective. So they will be automatically, the kids' brains will be open to learn more and teachers will be getting. So first, the time where it is lost by the teachers is to create curiosity in the kids regarding the topics. So because it fails, teachers often forget to do that. And then because kids never be curious to learn something, they feel that the curiosity is lost. So they just directly get into the class. Instead, try different classroom atmospheres. Take them once into the outside world, take them once into the visual aid classes, so that by giving different atmospheres, we can kindle curiosity, which makes the teacher's job easier. So because when the kid's brain is open to receive more, we can easily give the kid in a practical learning way, which also makes the teacher's job easier and healthier, making the kid understand the topic better, and also the marks can be attained and subject can be taught, and of course the deadlines can be met easily.
Yes. I think Montessori is one of the ways, like, innovative teaching. That's what, like, it's a, if a child goes to Montessori, through that education system, I think I feel, whatever you are trying to explain, I can connect with that kind of teaching. What is your view on that?
So excuse me, I didn't get it. So you say that Montessori is doing the
Yes,
same
because
thing.
yeah, because like they go through different environments. Like a child, like if he's not interested to learn, say mathematics or something like that, in that particular way, they ask a child like, "What are you interested in?" And they move him or her, to another environment where the child tries to learn by himself, and the teacher will help, to understand his own thought. I'm just giving an example. So exploring is
Yes,
what you are trying to convey, right? So that's the reason.
yes, yes.
So this is the digital era, right, Miss Sireesha? And how
Yes.
can technology help alleviate some burdens associated with overloaded curricula?
Of course, the technology being playing the more role. And as you said, Montessori is a good way of teaching for what perspective we are thinking about. It focuses more on the student's interest rather than just giving everything to him. So yes, and as you asked, technology is the main tool. Of course, it's not everything, but technology can be used as a basic tool to create curiosity. As we know, the main example is once we used to, if we want to explain anything to the kid, which is out of our source. For suppose if we want to explain digestive system, we cannot always take him to the lab or we cannot show him the direct digestive system. Instead, by using the technological tool here, we have got many what we say virtual experiencing tools or digital tools which we can help the students go live through what we are explaining, with which not only they get idea of what they are learning, but also they get connected to the concept. So it makes the teachers explaining part easier and understanding of the part of the kid better, more better, far better. So
Yeah. So, ma'am, what steps can policymakers take to support more balanced and effective curriculum design?
Yes. So policymakers, when I speak this, if we observe, I have seen few books of abroad, textbooks of abroad. So up to class 1 or 2, the education system which is abroad focuses more on building basic life skills of the student rather than making them learn anything from the textbooks. So they only learn up to class 2 or more often up to class 4 even. They learn only what real world, from the real world. How should they behave? What are they acquiring? And how should they react to the real world experiences? All this. So then, coming to the next classes, policymakers should keep in view the child's brain and their capacity, and of course, the future trends, and should design the concepts such that they create curiosity in the kids and they give space for them to explore more. And rather than prepare themselves for merely every monthly assessment. Also, these examinations which are designed to test the memory purpose of the student should be changed. The way of examination which we are conducting, because we do not want our child to be a first in memory race. So they want to be first in their life skills. They want to be first in their concepts, their understanding, and the way of implementation. So our examination mode, policymakers should also focus on changing the process of examination. Instead of a question and answer theory, we can introduce practical examinations from the basic. Of course, even class 6 students can have practical examinations so that they will be also having more space for exploring what they have learned, or something like they can be asked to, instead of writing question and answers in the examinations, they can be asked to bring uh, preparing themselves anything, like just we conduct science exhibitions that can be conducted every month, once in a while, asking the student to bring whatever they like, whatever they understood from the monthly concepts. So these are few policies which I think can be made to be just not, of course, bringing a vast change, but this can be taken a step which will be easier for us and also will be having a drastic change and drastic impact on the education system and learning procedures.
Right. I think experiential teaching or learning should be made compulsory, right?
Yes. Yes.
So last but not the least, Ms. Sireesha, looking ahead, what changes would you like to see in curriculum development and implementation?
So yes, as I told, the more curriculum which we are giving should be like mending the robotics with science. Robotics is not a different subject, but it is something related to science. So yes, already our STEM programs are being involved in all the see, every program is involved and implemented by all the schools, but it should be implemented with its true purpose, not being lost. So just like we are introducing STEM programs into every school, but this again is being introduced as a burden that it should be completed as a targeted burden. It should not be so. So there should be no time limit for learning. So children should be given time to explore until they get good, what we say, good catch over the concept. And then they should be desperate, moving to the next. Instead of having just rote learning methods and memory based examinations, and then the piling up of books, curriculum should be more focusing on learning what actually the child needs and what actually the child needs to improve himself in the thought process and to explore himself.
Right, ma'am. So, Ms. Sireesha, thank you for the talk and for patiently answering all the questions. I know those were repetitive, but thank you for showing, a clear picture, like why the students need not be overloaded with unnecessary, uh, you know, uh, I understood what I understood from this talk is changes need to come in our education system and the curriculum design, right? So thank you once again for sharing your knowledge on our platform, ma'am. Anything else you want to mention before I end this session?
Nothing. I just request all the educators and the ones, institution managers, everyone out there, whoever listens to this, just also bring their voices out on this so that our future generations will be good, thoughtful, and creative, further moving our legacy ahead of knowledge.
Thank you. I'll end the session now. Have a great day.
Thank you. Thank you so much.